Hello. On today's show, we're going to be talking about some of the golden opportunities that present themselves from time to time, or even on a daily basis, in chiropractic practice. Hello and welcome to this week's show. I'm Dr. Robert Freeman, host of For the Love of Chiropractic. And on today's show, we're going to talk about things that you can do, say, or be to really stand out to patients, prospective patients, and everybody that you interact with in the course of being a chiropractor. So let's get started with today's show. Welcome to another episode of For the Love of Chiropractic. I'm your host, Dr. Robert Freeman. I've been in practice for over 30 years, and I continue to work in a $1 million practice that I built, ran, and sold. I've taught, lectured, and coached our profession, and helped so many chiropractors build the practice and the life of their dreams. And now, I want to help you do the same. So here's today's show. In the introduction for today's show, I mentioned the title, Golden Opportunities of Practice. And what I mean by that is certain things happen in practice on a daily basis, or several times a week, that give you the opportunity to really stand out as the chiropractor who cares and is involved in their life. And those are the things that we're going to be spending our time talking about to really make you stand out above everybody else, above other chiropractors, above the medical doctor, above some of the other people in their life, maybe even their own spouse. Not that that's a good thing, but it is what it is. So in a previous episode, months and months ago, I had mentioned that when grandma comes in and wants to show you the picture of her grandson or the new baby who was born, to stop and take a minute, even sit down next to her on the table and look at the picture and ooh and ah over this beautiful baby or over the new graduate. And that's the beginning of this conversation, not the end of it. Because it's not just the new baby or the graduate. Maybe it's the wedding. It's a first child, it's a grandchild who's getting married. Take a moment, look at the beautiful bride, look at the beautiful young couple, look at the handsome young man, and truly be happy for this person about this good thing that's going on in their life. Maybe even ask, tell me a little bit about the couple. Where are they going to be living? Where are they going on their honeymoon? What does he do for a living? What does she do for a living? Do you think they want to have children? Oh, won't that be wonderful? You'll have great-grandchildren or grandchildren, whatever the case may be, and really have a connecting moment with the person about their life. Or maybe it's not even a human being that we're talking about. Maybe the person got a new pet. Awesome. Show me a picture of the puppy or the kitten and ask them about the breed of the dog. Where did they get the dog? And really, again, find out, because this is something that's really important to this person. They're happy and excited to share it. And if you just sort of blow it off, oh, hey, congratulations on the new dog. You know what? You lost a golden opportunity there to really help cement the relationship with the patient and move forward as their lifetime chiropractic provider for them and their family. Over the years, I've even had people come in and they want to show me pictures of their granddog. Their kids have a dog, and they're so excited about the granddog that they're getting to babysit while the kids go out of town, and the granddog is so much fun. But, you know, the people, the grandmother, the grandfather, they feel like they've gotten too old, or their living situation doesn't permit them to have a dog long term. So they're really excited about this. And again, that leads to a whole nother conversation about this dog, dogs they've had. You know, are they pet people? What do they really like? You know, what would the ideal dog be? Do they see themselves getting another dog? And again, really connecting. None of this has anything to do with their chiropractic treatment, or maybe it does, because now they're walking the dog, they're bending over to feed the dog, maybe they're playing with the dog down on the floor, so maybe it does have something to do with their chiropractic treatment. And that's applying that sharp clinical edge of how's what's going on in their life related back to the care you're providing. But the point, the really big point, is to care about what they're caring about and be excited about what they're excited about. Maybe it's not a grandchild. Maybe it's not some life event like a puppy or a wedding or a graduation. Maybe the patient got a new car. And you know what? For most people, the purchase of a new car is a big deal. And they put a lot of time and effort into it and the selection process. How many times do patients come in and tell you they bought a new car? And if you're a car person, that's great. And if you're not really a car person, that's fine too. I happen to be a car guy. I love cars. But I always ask the person, so what kind of car did you get? Why did you get that? What color is it? Can I see it from my window? I'll peek outside, or take time to go outside with them afterwards and look at it. And if you're not a car person, that's okay. Simply asking, well, it looks like a great car. Why did you choose that? And then they'll tell you all the attributes and how they went through and narrowed down why it is they chose that. And you know what? That might be great information for you to have, not necessarily for yourself or someone in your home, but for another patient, an hour later, a week later, a month later, who's thinking about looking for a car. Maybe you could even put those two people in touch with each other, and now you've just created a connection that revolves around your office. How awesome is that? Personally, when people tell me about cars that they're buying, in today's world, almost all cars last a really, really, really long time. Gone are the days where cars were at the end of their life after 3 or 4 years when they hit 60, 70, 80,000 miles. Some of us older docs and people listening to this will remember when that's how American cars were. Thankfully, that's not how it is anymore with the vast majority of cars on the market. So when somebody finishes telling me all about their car and how wonderful it is, I always close out with a little joke, and I'll look at them with a very serious look and I'll say, well, I hope you really, really, really like this car. You know why? And they'll go, no, Doc, why? I said, because the reputation is this thing's going to run forever. So you're going to have this car. You'll have the opportunity to have this car for a really long time. And everybody loves hearing that, and they always get a smile on their face. Take advantage of that and be with the person and celebrate this new thing, even if it's just a new car. A whole nother arena of golden opportunity is when your patient comes into the office and they bring somebody with them. Maybe it's mom or dad. Maybe it's a sibling. Maybe it's their best friend or a good friend. Maybe it's the person they're dating or even a fiance. Do they wait in the front room or are they invited back to the adjusting area or the adjusting room with the person? Do you know in today's world, the majority of people still have never seen a chiropractor, and a significant percentage still don't know what a chiropractor does. And I'll bet almost 100% of the people who come to visit your office with one of your regular patients have no idea what you do and why you do it, and why you do the things that you do the way that you do them. Because each of us are very special chiropractic practitioners. And we do things in a certain way, things that we've learned over years and years of helping our patients. So therefore, why not share some of that information with this new person who's visiting our office? I always invite the person to be in the adjusting room if the patient is okay with that. And as the person is face down on the table, the patient, and the other person is sitting in the guest chair, I'll casually say, have you ever been to a chiropractor or seen what a chiropractor does? And 9 times out of 10, 8 or 9 times out of 10, the person says no. And they look inquisitively at what you're doing as your hands are beginning to touch this person that they know, their friend, their fiance, their significant other, whatever it happens to be. And right there is the golden opportunity. How do you explain what you're doing with this person? Now, you can't violate their HIPAA, obviously. So you can even ask, do I have your permission to talk about specifically why you're in the office? Or, and I think even better, is to explain and describe chiropractic from a broad perspective so they have a better idea and understand that everybody should be seeing a chiropractor, or at least know one that they can consult with on a regular basis. But I really think everybody should be seeing a chiropractor to create optimum health. So what does that conversation look like? How do you explain chiropractic in its entirety to this person who's never been exposed to chiropractic, or in today's world, maybe they've seen some YouTube videos or Reels or TikToks, and so they've seen somebody getting twisted around and getting cracked and getting all this stuff done. Oh yeah, I've seen that, I know all about it. And you and I all both know they don't know a damn thing at that point, other than what some chiropractor wanted them to see on a reel to try and encourage them to come into the office. So let's explain intelligently what's really going on here. And I like a conversation that goes something like this. So what's your background? I want to know who I'm talking to. Oh, I'm a teacher. I'm a nurse. I'm a medical assistant. I'm a computer programmer. When I say, what's your background? Maybe they'll say, well, what do you mean? Do you have any science background? Oh, no, I'm a computer person. I'm a mathematician. Whatever it is, that's fine. But you can gauge your conversation. Maybe they say they work in a factory. Maybe they're a baker. And all these things are fine and terrific. You know how to gauge your conversation at that point and use analogies that will make sense to them so they really get it. But in general, the conversation looks like this. So you probably know that all the information that controls the body starts off up in the brain. And I might even gently tap the person on the back of their head, the patient who's laying face down on the table. And that information gets transmitted down through the spinal cord, which runs inside of the spine. And the nerves come out of very specific little holes that are in between each of those bones. When the bones shift their position, the nerves can't work properly, so the body can't work at 100% or even close to it, so things start to go wrong. When it gets bad enough, that's when you start to feel the pain or the symptoms, and therefore the person thinks, maybe I need to go to a chiropractor. Now, I believe that we should solve these problems before the pains start, just like when you go to a dentist for a routine checkup. You want to go and have the dentist find that early cavity before it even really takes hold, and that way they can easily take care of it. Once the cavity's gotten deep, maybe the tooth can't even be saved. And everybody understands that analogy because almost everybody sees a dentist on a regular basis. And if the person is anywhere above 20 years old, they've already had some significant traumas in their life. You know that. They probably don't realize that. And you can even say things like, so when people take a fall, have a minor car accident, any minor trauma, even just sitting at a desk all the time, looking down, working on a computer, can cause these bones to become misaligned. That's called subluxated, and can start to create problems that are then just brewing. So I recommend that people get a checkup just to make sure that they don't have any of these problems and they're staying healthy. And that's the end of the conversation. I don't invite them to come in as a patient. I simply leave it at that. The person may ask, could I see you? Of course. And then start to change the conversation. So what are you guys doing today? Oh, well, so-and-so is visiting from out of town. Okay, they're not local. You're not going to be their chiropractor. Oh, so-and-so is my best friend and they live right next door. Okay, that's kind of cool. Now you know they live right next door. And you know what they do for a living because you ask them. There's a connection there. But I sincerely hope that you have a preset, fantastic script that you use in your head, that you can pull the file and play the tape when somebody comes into the office that's not been a patient and they're just with somebody. And I certainly hope you invite them back to the adjusting room or the adjusting area so they can see and experience what's going on. There's still people who are afraid of chiropractors. They think we hurt. They think we hurt people. And you know when you're adjusting your patients, nothing is further from the truth. Usually you adjust and they go, oh, thank you, doc, that's so much better. How awesome is it to have the person see that and understand that? And obviously when I say the person, I'm talking about the visitor in the room. Now I'd like to talk about another golden opportunity that I think so many doctors miss over and over again, and they don't even know the opportunity, the golden opportunity that they just blew. What's the opportunity that I'm talking about? When the prospective patient calls on the phone and has a few questions about your practice, about your technique, about you specifically. So first and foremost, does your CA know the basics about you and your practice? How many years have you been there? How many years have you been a chiropractor? What techniques do you use? Because patients do ask. Some patients really want to know if you use activator. Some patients really want to know if you use diversified technique. Do you use drop? Do you use flexion distraction? It's amazing how many patients know the names of the techniques that they really like. And by the way, they also know the names of the techniques they don't like. So if you're strictly an activator practice, and I think that's just fine, and the prospective patient calls and says, what techniques does the doctor use? Oh, well, Dr. So-and-so is a certified activator practitioner. If the person's looking for activator, that's terrific. And if they're not, you just lost them. So if you do practice with more than one technique, you need to make sure that your CA, the person who answers your phone, is prepared to answer that question. Or I really like, well, our doctors use, and as an example, our doctors use flexion distraction, diversified activator, SOT blocking, and drop. And depending on your specific needs, the doctor will customize what techniques he uses with you when if and when you choose to come into the office. Does that answer your question? And whether they liked a specific technique or they don't like a specific technique, good or bad, it answers their question, and they know the office is still open to them to come in as a really good treatment option. If you have more than one doctor in your office, that's a wonderful selling point also. We have both male doctors and female doctors because some patients really do care. We have young doctors and old doctors because some patients really care, and that's another great selling point. Oh, Dr. So-and-so has been in practice for over 30 years, and we have young Dr. X who's with us now and has all the latest techniques also, so you get the best of old and new. And patients love hearing things like that. Sometimes patients will ask questions like, well, I got a referral from my MD and I need physical therapy, so can I just bring that to your office? Do you do physical therapy? Or maybe they lead with, do you do physical therapy? And I have spoken with offices where the CA is trained to say, no, we're a chiropractic office. And again, you're shutting the door. You want to keep the door open and invite the person into the office as long as you can indeed provide the services that they are looking for. I'm not talking about a bait and switch situation. I'm talking about if their medical doctor, for example, gave them a slip to receive physical therapy, and in your state you can provide physical therapy, then I think that's perfect. If in the course of doing your own initial examination, they need chiropractic along with the physical therapy, well, that's terrific too. You can explain that to the patient, and you can go back and explain that to the medical doctor, that this is what you found, this is how you're going to help them, and get them to feel better, be better, and stay better, even faster, using both chiropractic and physical therapy. Because it's amazing to me how many medical doctors in today's world are now happy and willing to send somebody to a chiropractor, but they say, oh, chiropractic or physical therapy, yeah, it's all the same, so go ahead to either one. And it's not the same. Chiropractic is not physical therapy, and physical therapy is not chiropractic, but they work beautifully together if you choose to practice them together. Is it absolutely necessary? No, I don't believe it is. I know fantastic chiropractors who are straight chiropractors. They remove vertebral subluxations, and that's what they do in their office. I know other chiropractors who actually don't remove vertebral subluxations, and they have intensive physical therapy suites where they do amazing soft tissue work, focusing on the muscles and the ligaments and the range of motion, but don't do adjustments. And while I think it's a lost opportunity, these doctors, some of them, still have fantastic practices and are helping people. And that's what it's all about. As long as the doctor is also explaining to the person that they're receiving physical therapy and not selling that as full chiropractic care, because that's misleading to the public, and not enough of the public really knows what chiropractors do. But going back to what your CA says when he or she answers the phone, the person may well ask what ages patients you treat. Some chiropractors just don't treat infants and small children. And other chiropractors just don't treat the very elderly. I even know some chiropractic physicians who, quote, refuse to touch a patient once they've had spinal surgery. And nothing could be further from the truth. As a trained professional, if you know how to work with the spine that has been biomechanically altered because they've put hardware in there, those people desperately need chiropractic care also to prevent further degeneration at the levels above and below where that hardware has been placed. And if the CA can't answer those questions, that's a mistake. You have some training to do. If the CA can answer those questions, that's awesome. And the CA can ask, do you have any other questions? And they might come upon something that the CA can't answer. Or the person might ask point blank, can I speak to the doctor? Many offices that I know, the CA says, doctor's too busy, can't pick up the phone. And if you're with a patient, I totally understand that. But if you're not with a patient at that moment, you're missing a golden opportunity. Pick up the phone. Hello, this is Dr. Freeman. How can I help you? I understand you had some questions for me. And take a couple minutes and chat with them. Because the vast majority of the time, guess what? Once you've spoken to the person, they're coming into your office as a patient. Over the years, I've had a handful of people come in the office just asking about chiropractic and asking if they could meet the doctor. And my CA has always been well trained enough to know the answer is yes. If it's crunch time, they might say, I need 20 minutes, go grab a cup of coffee. Or they might say, no problem, he's just finishing with a patient, give him 5 minutes. And then you sit down and meet with the person and talk with them. And some of these people, one gentleman that I'm thinking of specifically is named Doug, and another woman named Pam came into the office. We sat and chit-chatted about what they were looking for, what they needed, positive experience in the past, negative experiences in the past, even offered them a tour of the office at that point. And ultimately, these people become great patients. Both of the two people that I mentioned became great patients, and we still continue to maintain a relationship, even though both have since moved out of town after being patients in the office for well over a decade. Why were they patients for so many years? Because I took the time, and I'm saying you should take the time to meet with these people, chat with these people, and help them any way you possibly can. Because when you do that, guess what? Not only do they become a patient, in both of the cases that I mentioned, both of their spouses became patients. One of them ended up having children while they were under care. The children were patients. The extended family becomes patients. Any one patient in your office, as the old statistic says, has the capability and the opportunity to refer 1 to 9 other people to become patients in your office. And that's how practices grow. All right, and that's our show for today. If you have a question about today's show or your own practice, feel free to reach out at fortheloveofchiropractic.com. Before making changes to your practice, be sure to seek legal advice regarding those changes and regulations in your state. For the Love of Chiropractic is an RGF production, all rights reserved. And thanks for listening. Original music provided by Hunter Rich Music.